In this video, we are going to look at my favorite minimalist toys for kids ages 2 to 3. And I thought about kind of ranking these in the order of my son's current favorites, and then I couldn't decide what his actual favorites were. So in no particular order, these are our favorite minimalist toys. So the first toy that I have on my list is a guitar. And no, it's not a real guitar. This is how it sounds, and my daughters have tried many times to tune it, and it doesn't work. However, it is one of my son's absolute favorite toys. My mom got this for him when he was 2, his second birthday, and I thought that he would enjoy it for a little bit and then kind of get over it, but he absolutely loves it. He plays with it at least once a day. When the girls get their instruments out, he gets his, and this becomes a violin or it becomes a cello, depending on which sister is practicing. And if they're playing with their guitars, he is also playing with his. So this is something I would highly recommend if you have a lot of music in your house and your younger one wants to participate. We were running into that with our 2-year-old. He would get very frustrated when the girls would get their instruments out and he couldn't participate in any way. So this has really solved that problem for us and also been a really good toy for him. It's even small enough that we will take it in the car with us on long trips, and he will sit there and serenade us, which it's not the most beautiful sound, but it's a whole lot better than a frustrated toddler who wants to get out of the car. The second thing on my favorite minimalist toy list is, I don't know if it's really considered a toy, but it is also one of, I would say, his top favorite things to use. This is something my sister got for him for his second birthday, and it is a children's knife and cooking set. So this is a peeler. Every single thing is plastic, but they actually cut. It's quite surprising actually how well they cut. I may put in a video here of me cutting something with it, but tomatoes, it can cut just fine. It can cut lettuce, it can cut cucumbers, just about anything that I would be cutting. I can hand him a piece of it and he can cut. I believe it also came with a cutting board, and I think it came with this thing. If not, this was in one of the girls' sets of things, but it came with some sort of thing where they can also cut this way, and it also had some other little things where, like, if you were cutting sandwiches or something, they could make little shapes. So this is something he uses every single day, pretty much. If I am cooking in the kitchen, he runs to the kitchen, he grabs out one of his knives, and he starts cutting. He also will get the little cutting board that came with it. And yeah, it's been a really fun thing for him. It was very frustrating before she got him these because he would want to participate, but obviously you don't want a 2-year-old using a knife. And these I don't worry about at all. I mean, I can do that. It's maybe a tiny bit uncomfortable, but it's not going to hurt anything. He's not going to hurt anyone else. The ends are blunt enough also that he would not hurt himself or anyone else. And everything is fairly, well, as soft as a play knife can be. So highly recommend this if your kids are interested in cooking. Along that line, also, this is not a toy, but my mother-in-law made the kids, and has made each kid, I think, an apron. So this is something also, if your little one is really interested in cooking. My little guy always thinks he needs his apron on, although sometimes he prefers his sister's because hers came with a sweet hat. So you gotta have the hat on when you're a chef, you know. But my mother-in-law made all of this for the kids, and they absolutely love it, especially at that age when they like dressing up and doing things like their parents are doing. So if you enjoy cooking, if you're in the kitchen a lot, these are some things that your 2 or 3-year-old might enjoy. The next items on my list are indoor things that can get the energy out. So I talked about this in my 0 to 2 minimalist gift ideas and minimalist toy video. An indoor swing is fantastic for this, and at 2, all 3 of my kids have been able to use this just fine. The cool thing about this one, which I don't know if you can actually find this one anymore, but I think most of them have this feature where you can adjust the height. So you can make it nice and low to the ground. And actually for both of the girls, when they had this in their room, we had it they had a floor bed, so a bed on the floor, and we had it so it swung right over the bed. So if they fell, it wasn't a big deal. Hey guys, I wanted to just pop in here real quick and show you that we got these swings set up, and this is kind of how it is in the room. Originally with my girls, we had it kind of in one of the corners, and when we were setting this up yesterday, my husband and I were both saying, why did we do that? Why would we have done it so close to the walls? But then we realized it was our first child, who was, I think, about 3 at the time, and we didn't realize how quickly kids grew or how quickly they became good at things, I guess. We thought for a long time she would just kind of be, you know, sitting in the swing, not really doing a lot, but within a couple of months, she was swinging full on with it, and it being so close to the walls was a little bit challenging for them. So this time we set it up so that the kids can pretty much swing wall to wall. If they really get going, they can actually push off of one of the walls, which I think my husband got a little bit nervous about when we realized that, and he's a little nervous that they may end up kicking through the wall. So we may have to figure something out with that to make sure they don't do that, but this is going to give them much more room to actually swing. And then the other thing our kids really like to do with the swing, especially one that is set up like this, again, I don't know if you can still find them like this. I think this one got discontinued from IKEA for some reason, but our kids love being able to spin themselves way up and then, of course, unwind, which was kind of another problem with it being so close to the walls, especially as they just got older and more comfortable and tried to kind of push the limits with it, as kids do. So this time we set it up as far away from any of the walls as we could without it getting too close to the light. My husband didn't want to drill into anything electric, obviously, so we kind of put it as close to the center of the room as we could, and are hoping that this gives them enough room to really play with it and enjoy it. So it's pretty close to the ground right now because our little guy is only 2 and he's still figuring it out. It was pretty cute when we got it up and set it up and showed him. He spent a long time just trying to figure out how to get on it, even though he's pretty tall for his age and does a lot of climbing. It's just different being able to pull yourself up and sit. So once he kind of gets that a little bit more, we will raise it up, and then it's really easy to raise and lower as the kids grow, which is a lot of fun. Our girls also, and I'm sure our son will as well once he gets a little bit bigger, love to stand and swing with this thing. So there's just so many ways that they can use this thing, especially as they get older, and it is something that all of our children have enjoyed for quite a long time. All right, that's what I wanted to show you with the swing. I'll let you get back to the video. Another thing that they loved in this age range is a rock wall in their room. So my husband and a friend built this rock wall, my husband painted it, and the kids have all loved it. My son is starting to climb it now, and he is 2, and both of the girls still use it pretty frequently. They use it now to get in and out of their bunk bed as opposed to going down the ladder, and also they like to climb it in different ways. They like to try to climb it backwards or upside down or all kinds of different things like that. So if you can think of things where they can actually get energy out in the house, that is a great gift, especially for Christmas time. I know my kids kind of can get a little stir crazy when it is raining all the time and you can't just go outside and play quite as easily. But things like this really have helped us keep our sanity when the weather isn't quite as good. Now, something in this age range that I didn't have with the girls, but now we have with our son, is metal trucks. And for us, we have been very blessed. We have a lot of friends whose kids are older, so we inherited some of these really nice toys. But my son actually likes to sit on this and kind of ride it around the room, and since it's metal, it's sturdy enough for him to do that. He likes to take it outside and play with the rocks, and just really, he likes this a lot. He loves tractors, he loves lawnmowers, so this is a great toy for him. And now seeing him play with it, I think the girls would have enjoyed things like this if they had had it, but it just, there's different things that are just on your radar or not on your radar, depending on if you only have one gender. And I think this is just one of those things. I didn't really think about, oh, the girls would like a tractor. But it's kind of interesting because he has been drawn to tractors and lawnmowers and things like that since he could speak, and the girls couldn't have cared less. Like if we were passing a construction zone, they wouldn't have known the difference. Whereas he has to let everybody know what every tractor is that he can see, and it's a very big deal to him. So depending on your kids' interests, this may be a good idea for them, especially if you can find metal ones. I was actually just looking on Facebook Marketplace because it was so cute the other night. My husband was getting my son ready for bed, and he told me that he was putting him in a pajama that had fire trucks on it. And he said that our little guy looked at him and said, "I like fire trucks, Daddy." So he was like, we need to try to find him a fire truck for Christmas. And I actually found some on Facebook Marketplace, some metal fire trucks. They were still a bit more than I wanted to spend, but you can get them a lot cheaper than you can on Amazon. And I couldn't even find on Amazon like metal nice ones like that that are going to last and not have just a bazillion buttons. So I like the classic toys that are going to last, and this definitely to me qualifies as an old-fashioned minimalist, just good toy that they're going to get a lot of play out of and really be able to use their imaginations with. Along that line, again, not something we had with the girls, but definitely something that is popular with the little guy, is I found these Tonka trucks, and they are Tonka brand. They are mostly metal. They have a little bit of plastic, but I think they will still hold up really well. It was a little set that I found. It was totally an impulse buy at Target. My oldest was in a painting class, and it was far enough away that I couldn't come home in between, so I had to just kind of entertain the other two. And I thought, let's go to Target, I'll find them something fun that they can play with this week. And I found these guys, and they have been a huge hit. And one of the ways that they have been a huge hit is with the next thing that I'm going to talk about. Now, I'm a little nervous about this next one because on my other minimalist toy videos, people have said that I'm just very cheap, and that's why I get my kids stuff like this. But this one is probably the cheapest toy I have ever made or gotten for them. And I would say right now it is probably my son's absolute favorite thing. So what we did is we made a sensory bin. And right now this is how I keep it. I just keep it in a plastic bag. Now it doesn't look like a lot because he was playing with it today and spilled half of it on the floor. So half of it had to go in the garbage, but we made the sensory bin. I keep it in here, and then I get it out whenever he asks for it. Okay, popping into the video here real quick because I've made some adjustments to the sensory bin, and I wanted to show you how we're doing it. So my husband got this clear plastic bin for the sensory bin, and it's great because we can close it all up and just kind of keep it ready to go. We don't have to get a whole bunch of other things out or keep the bag with the beans in it. We just keep everything in this bin, and I just store it in the garage when he's not using it now. And it's clear, and I don't know if you can kind of tell how big it is, but it's a good size for him. He has a lot of fun with it. And it was really cute because after we got this bin out, he started getting a lot of his other cars and other toys. We've got his little flashlight here and some little farm animals and some of the tea set things. And he has been having so much fun using this in different ways, not just with the tractors like I had originally said. He sometimes will even just find different things of the sensory bin items like the beans or the pasta or things like that and bring it to us and show us. So he's exploring it and having a lot of fun with it in even more ways than he was originally. And I was also going to show you before I wrap this tomorrow, I told you I was going to make one of these for my nephew. So we got him just the exact same bin, but this is how I am giving it to him. Well, I'm going to wrap it up, but I put all of the sensory bin items in here separately because one of my son's favorite things to do was to pour everything in and kind of experience every single thing individually, and he really enjoyed that. So I wanted my nephew to be able to do that as well. So I got some rice. I think this was farro. I just basically went to the bulk section and got anything that looked interesting or pretty. We got some regular lentils here. I got this, I think it was hominy, these giant corn kernels that are dried. I got some regular popcorn kernels, yellow lentils, garbanzos. I did pinto beans. And I had some fun getting some fun shapes of pastas. These are tiny little shells, which are super cute. I got black beans, split peas, and a couple of more pastas here. These little tiny cylinders, and then these little wagon wheels too. So I'm super excited about this. My son went with me when we were getting all of it. I told him we were making a sensory bin for his cousin, and he had so much fun
helping me pick out the different things, and I'll probably get some more of these things as time goes on. You know, if we're just at the grocery store, I'll grab an extra little bit that we can add to his and kind of keep it interesting as we go along. So then I'm just going to, wrap this up and give it to him like this so he can take it home and add everything in that he wants to. So that's an idea for if you do want to give this as a gift. You can get a nice bin for them, something that can close, and then just include all of the things that they can play with the sensory bin inside. Okay, that's all I wanted to show you about the updated sensory bins, so I will let you get back to the video.
Now these next items I did mention in the last video with the 0 to 2 favorite minimalist toys, but there's kind of a little bit of crossover in these two ages. And I think that my son still loves these toys, and he's 2.5 now. But that is the musical instruments. We have the set from Melissa and Doug. My mom got these for my son last year, and he still really enjoys them. If you have a lot of music in your house, little ones want to participate with that too. And their instruments, they make a decent sound. Like, it's not gonna be annoying. It's not gonna be things that you want it to stop. The maraca sounds like a maraca. The tambourine sounds like a tambourine. The triangle here, you're supposed to have a little piece of fabric, but that disappeared off of ours. But it sounds like a triangle. And then the little cymbals, which is one of my son's favorites, actually sound a fair amount like a cymbal if you hold on to the wood. So I definitely recommend these if your little one enjoys music. Now, another thing that all 3 of my kids have actually really enjoyed, and is a very simple gift, is just a flashlight. And especially this time of year, as things get darker earlier and they stay darker later in the morning, this can be a fun way to get outside, go on walks. You can do, my parents last year for Christmas actually got all of the grandkids a little flashlight, and then they had a treasure hunt outside for the grandkids as well, where they were using the flashlights and playing with them and getting outside, even though it was cold and wet and dark and all of that stuff. So another really fun idea here that you can have a lot of fun with just a little bit of creativity. Now, along the coloring line, something I have absolutely loved for all of my kids, and they have enjoyed a lot too, are these doodle boards. And they're really cool. I don't fully understand how they work, but they're kind of just always on, and you can color with them. I don't know if you can actually see that. Yeah, you can. And then you just hit this button and it disappears. You can lock it. That way you can color and then it won't disappear. So it won't disappear, and then if I unlock it, it will. So that's kind of nice. If they're working on something, they can lock it, color, and then their sibling won't accidentally hit the button. But this is something great for this age range. These are very portable, they're lightweight, they're not going to put a bunch of garbage everywhere. We use these a lot when we're on trips. All 3 of the kids really like them, and it's something easy you can just put in the back of a seat in the car and things like that. So love these. All of my kids really enjoy them, and I think they're really good for this age range of 2 to 3 year olds, especially as they're starting to write and color. Now, the next thing I know I mentioned on the last video, but like I said, there's a bit of carryover between 0 to 2 and 2 to 3, and that is a tea set. Now, all 3 of my kids have enjoyed this just as much, and I probably wouldn't have thought of this for a boy before my son, but he's having an absolute blast with it now. And part of it is because his sisters will play with him with it. But even if he's playing by himself, he will get so excited. He will bring me over a cup and say, tea, 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 and he wants me to drink it. And then he'll bring me a plate of food. And the dominoes, like I mentioned, all of my kids have really loved dominoes at this age range. So we keep just a set of dominoes in the kids' play stuff. And it's a set that we don't care if they lose them, because that inevitably will happen. But often for our kids, the dominoes end up being food and tea that they use with their tea set. So it's a fun way for them to use their imaginations. And yeah, I would recommend this for boys or girls. And there's lots of different styles and sets that you can get online, but definitely metal sets when they're little, because then you don't have to worry about anything breaking. And this one has served us very well for the past probably 7 or so years. And sure, it's a little dented up, but that's all right. Things like that are gonna happen when you have kids. Like I said in the last video, no minimalist toy or gift video would be complete without some books. And these are some of our favorites. Does a Firefighter Fly a Rocket? Pika Flap Moo. These ones have nice thick flaps, so they aren't going to get torn off easily. And our little guy is really into farm animals. He loves all the farm sounds. He loves tractors. He loves mowing, all of those things. So this has been a really fun one for him. And this is one of his absolute favorite books too, as you can tell by the love that it gets. So it's called I Love You Like No Otter, and it's got all these cute little animal puns in it and animal pictures. And it's really soft. I really like this one a lot. So I think books are great. That's something that we will be getting our little guy for Christmas this year, a new book, because yeah, he loves to read. So want to encourage that as much as possible while they're little. Next thing, I actually have two more things for the 2 to 3 age range. And these are both things that I would have never considered minimalist toys originally, but I have been surprised how much my kids love them and how much they get used. My kids call these their squishes. All of my kids have them. I remember when they first started coming out, I thought they were just ridiculous. And someone else got my girls theirs. My son wasn't born yet. And I thought, oh, okay, well, all right, whatever. But they love it. They sleep with it every single night. They take it with them if we go on road trips. It's kind of their pillow / stuffed animal. And this is actually the one that we got for my son for his birthday. And I know people aren't going to like this, but I got this for $5 at a resale, and it was in perfect condition. Some of these things you can pay $30, $40 for. And he loves his squish. He loves having one like his sisters. He'll ask them to get their squishes and play with them. And yeah, they use these as seats. They use them as pillows. I don't let my son sleep with his yet, which is why I have this one down here since my kids are all asleep. But the girls, like I said, they sleep with theirs every night. I may let him sleep with it maybe when he's 3, 4, I don't know. It makes me a little nervous when they're little, but he still loves it. He plays with it. He will cuddle up with it anytime he's sad, and it's actually been great. And that also makes me think of stuffed animals. I think it's great for kids to have a special stuffed animal, and the 2 to 3 range is a fun time to start getting them those things because they're still really into it. And both my oldest and my youngest have been very into stuffed animals. The middle one, she will say that she wants a stuffed animal, and we've gotten them for her for Christmas before, and then a month or so later she'll say, nah, I'm over it, you can get rid of it. So she's never really had a special stuffed animal, but she still loves her squish. And the other two have really loved having stuffed animals. So I think that's a fun thing, especially if they're drawn to certain animals. Like I said, my son absolutely loves farm animals. So he's got a whole farmyard in his room. He's got a sheep, he's got a cow, he's got a pig, and he loves all of those animals. And my oldest loves penguins. So she's had a penguin since she was 6 months old, and it's always been her very favorite stuffed animal. But it's good to have some stuffed animals. They definitely don't need a ton, especially if you are trying to be more minimalist, but it is fun to have a couple to cuddle with. One other thing I almost forgot to mention that my girls reminded me I needed to have on this list is a carrier. Both of my girls absolutely loved this around this 2 to 3 age. Honestly, they liked it up until about 5. And it's just a piece of fabric with some buckles, but they can carry their dolls around or stuffed animals or whatever they want. They can wear them on the front, they can wear them on the back, and they love this. They used this thing almost every day when they were in that age range. So this can be a fun thing for your kids if they do already have some dolls or stuffed animals that they really love and want to carry around with them. I really liked this because my oldest had a doll she took everywhere with her, and I was always scared we were going to lose it. So I would just put this on her before we went into a store, and I never had to worry about her putting it down somewhere. And if your child doesn't have a doll, I think this is a great age to get one for them. Before I had my son, I probably would have just said for girls, but my little guy really likes his doll as well, and he has a lot of fun trying to play with them with their dolls. So last night when I was filming, I totally was not looking at my notes, and I missed a few of the key things that I wanted to mention in this video. So the next minimalist toy that my kids have all really enjoyed in this age range is Magnetiles. I feel like around 2 and 3 years old, they can start putting things together and having a little bit more imagination in their play. But one thing I have noticed with the Magnetiles and other what I would consider to be pieces toys like Lincoln Logs or Legos is when they are 2 to 3 years old, they tend to enjoy it more when they have someone older who is playing with them. So my oldest, I would say didn't really start playing. I mean, maybe a little bit with the Duplo Legos, but Magnetiles, things like that, she didn't really get into playing with until she was a little bit older. But the younger two have enjoyed them earlier because she would play with them, or my middle daughter will play with the little guy with them. So if you have a 2 to 3 year old, I would say these could be really great for them if you're willing to get them out with them, sit down on the floor and build with them. Otherwise, it's a little bit harder for them to conceptualize at this age. But if they have older siblings, or like I said, if you're willing to get down and play with them and kind of show them how it works, how they can build things, this can be a great toy for this age as well. Something else that my kids have enjoyed in the 2 to 3 age range is this famous toy. Now, I feel like this usually appears on the 0 to 2 lists that I have seen, but in my experience, I did get this. I think we got it for a baby shower gift for my oldest. So we've had it from day one. And up until about 2, the main game that they play with this is just open it up and dump it out, and then it just stays there. Once they hit about 2 years old, they can start to look at the different shapes and put them in the correct slots. So I would say if you do want to get it for a 1-year-old, it's still a great toy to have, especially I love this wooden one. It's timeless. It's going to last forever. And if you have more kids, things like that, it's a really great toy to have. But don't be surprised if they don't play with it a lot until they are a little bit older. But I do think this is a great minimalist toy to have. It is problem-solving skills and teaching spatial awareness and things like that at a young age. And I just think it's a good toy for every family to have. The next toy, I cannot believe I forgot when I was filming yesterday because it has been a huge hit at our house, and that is a Strider bike. I did not have one of these with my oldest, and it's fine. You know, she did fine. She never really asked for one or noticed other kids playing with one or needed one or anything like that. She started riding a bike around 3 with a pedal bike with training wheels, and she rides a bike just fine. I don't feel like she missed out because she didn't have one. But with my second daughter, she really wanted to ride a bike very young. I think she was around 1 or even 18 months old when she started trying to climb on the bike. She wanted to be like her sister. So I found this one. You guys are gonna love this. I know you love it when I thrift things, but I found this one on, I think it was Craigslist, and I got it. It was in the box still, but I got it for I think $40 less than you could buy it online from their website. This is a Strider brand one. There are a ton of different brands that you can choose from, and you can get some cheaper ones. So I would just say look around if you like thrifting like I do and don't think that it's terrible to give your kids thrifted gifts. I really suggest looking around Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. Kids only play with these for so long and can only get so much mileage out of them, so they're generally still in really good shape. Some friends of ours, they had some little kids that when my middle daughter was done with it, we loaned it to them for a while, and then when their kids were done, now it's back with us for my son, and it's still in just fantastic condition. And like I said, I had originally got it off Craigslist. It was still in the box, so I believe it was new at the time, but yeah, it works really well to find these used and secondhand, and you can get them a lot cheaper that way. But even if you want to buy it new, I think it is very much worth the investment. One thing I've noticed with my son is he is able to ride this faster than he can walk. So if we go on a walk, he will often ride his bike and he can keep up a lot better. He still gets a little distracted and it takes him a little longer than the rest of us, but it's a way for him to, I think, be more engaged in the walk. If he is just walking, he will often ask to be picked up much sooner than if we take the Strider bike. So I highly recommend one of those for kids about 18 months up to 3, I would say. Around 4 is, well, my oldest I think was 3 when she started on the very small pedal bike with training wheels. That worked well for her. I think my second daughter was around 4. So probably 4 and up, these wouldn't work as well because they do only get so tall. But under 4 years old, we have had fantastic success with them. And sometimes my oldest actually still will put this bike as tall as it can go and ride it around in the backyard. They think it's a lot of fun, and it has served us very well for the past 5 years now. So highly recommend these if you have someone on your list who is especially around that 2 to 3 age range, but even around 18 months, they can get started on these. And some kids, we have some friends who they started on these and they went straight to no training wheels. They never had to do that. My middle daughter still did. She still did training wheels and it was fine. She didn't have any issues. I don't think it's one of those things where, oh, you need to do this and this is way better than the old-fashioned way with the training wheels. I think either way can work. It just is a nice way to get your younger kids participating in the bike riding if they want to do that. Now, the next thing on my list, I feel like there are going to be people who don't think this is a toy, but my kids have all really enjoyed it. And I think in their minds, actually, I don't know that they think it is a toy, but they like being able to use it. And it is a small broom. Now, I had just one like this that was plastic for both of the girls, but then I found this little set for really cheap at a resale. And I'm glad I got it because out in the backyard, my husband will use a big push broom to clean up the rocks off of the cement. And my son loves having one just like him. So all three of my kids have really enjoyed the broom. I think when my oldest was little, I don't know that I would have thought, oh, this is a good toy for her, but someone was just giving a bunch of them away and I thought, oh, why not? She might enjoy that. And it has been probably the longest running favorite toy of anything we've had. She loved being able to help me sweep, and then my middle daughter did, and now my son does as well. As soon as I get the broom out, he runs over and gets his broom and tries to help out. So I think this is a great thing also for 2, 3-year-olds. They like helping out and giving them something where they can actually help. These actually work. You know, they're real brooms. They're just shorter. So giving them an actual tool that they can use to help out, I think is really fun, and they seem to really enjoy it. Now, this last thing I think I may have been subconsciously leaving off of my list because a bunch of people told me in the comments of my last year's video that a backpack is not a good gift for children, and it's just my husband and I being selfish and wanting to hike and backpack ourselves is why we get them for our kids. But my kids actually really like hiking. They really like backpacking. And right now this is my son's backpack. It initially started as my oldest's backpack. And I have to say, it has been one of their favorite things. You probably can't consider it a toy, but it's been one of their favorite things ever since my oldest was 1 and she used this backpack. She just recently got upgraded to a full-sized backpack. But up until then, they used these things at least once a week. And we like to hike a lot as a family, and anytime we're getting ready to go hiking, when everyone else is packing their bags, my son will get out his backpack and he will want to start putting things in his backpack. He'll want to start putting snacks in here. Now at this point, I only will actually have in about a bag of chips for him to carry, but he thinks he wants to carry it on the hike, and he likes to have a backpack just like the rest of us. Both of my girls have used these also for diaper bags for their dolls when they get to that age. They've used them when they go to their grandparents for the weekend and just need a small amount of stuff. And yeah, they use these all the time. So I think these are great gifts. We got ours at REI when they were this age, and they're honestly just the perfect size for about 18 months up until, let's see, my daughter was 8 last year when she got her bigger size, and she's pretty tall for her age. So yeah, these are the only small ones that I found, aside from I think Osprey used to have one. I don't think their new brand does, but it actually has buckle for around the hips, which is how a backpack, when you're doing hiking and things like that, needs to fit, and also chest straps and a chest clip. And it also has a little whistle on it, which I like for hiking with my kids. So if any of you like to hike and plan on doing that with your kids, I also recommend a backpack. Or if your kids just want to be able to have a little bag that's theirs. My kids have always liked being able to pack their own bag when we go away for the weekend or we go to the grandparents or things like that. So I highly recommend it. I know there's a lot of people who don't think this is a good gift for children, but my kids have liked it. So I would imagine there are some others that would like it as well. Okay, so that is all I had for this video. If you want to see the others that I am doing on my favorite intentional gift ideas for 4 to 6-year-olds and then 7 to 9-year-olds, be sure to subscribe down below and ring the bell next to it so you'll be notified when those videos come out.